And Mike and I really went through a good like 2 to 3 years of nothing but just bad. It was just loss and death and just bad.
Yeah.
And I, I feel like it it really flipped a switch for Mike and I where we realized, you know what, screw it. We only live once. We're not going to save for the retirement thing. We're going to go buy a freaking camper and enjoy life because nothing is promised. Every day is a gift. And we really, I feel like it was because we went through that time that
Hmm.
we wake up every day appreciating everything we have and wanting to live and enjoy life.
That's it, right? Like, stop wasting weeks and days and minutes, really. And that's what led me to this, journaling for myself was just, it was like,
Yeah.
what do I want? And then how did I do? And
Yeah.
then what do I want?
Love
And then
that.
how did I do? And
Love
it
that.
was just that continuous process and this continuous evolution of, who I am.
And I'm so inspired by you, Scott. I'll tell you,
I appreciate that.
watching
As
what you went through with your mom, I mean, my mom has a brain injury. I don't know if you knew that, but she
no,
had a brain hemorrhage back when I was in college.
mm,
That um, here what happened is my dad had gotten a job in California. My mom moved out with him, and we had just visited them for winter break. And it was the next week that my mom had started to feel sick. She had a cold, whatever. Well, what had happened is her doctor was away, and the doctor covering for her doctor prescribed a medication that interacted with her Coumadin and literally thinned her blood to the point that it just started seeping in her brain. And she had a massive hemorrhage. And it was within a matter of hours that my dad was on the phone with us, and my sisters and I had to get on a plane. My brother was already there, flew out, and about maybe an hour after we got there, the surgeon came out and said, unfortunately, she started hemorrhaging again. And at this point, you're just going to have to let nature take its course. She's not going to survive this. And if she does, she will be non functional. And to my father's credit, we were all sobbing and crying. And my dad said, "You don't know my wife. Give her an inch, she'll take a mile. You're doing the surgery." And
mm,
he was crying, my dad, and he said, "I don't want you to mistake these tears for me making
sure.
an emotional decision. I'm telling you, you don't know my wife."
Yeah.
And the surgeon hesitated. He did not want to do this. And he said, "Okay, I'll get you the papers." And he came back, and my dad signed the papers. He did the surgery. And if you saw my mom sees neurologists
I,
today that are like,
yeah.
"There's no way that this happened to you,"
Hmm.
because she's a fighter. But it unfortunately, she's 99%, right? Like nobody would
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
but she knows and we know. There are things that aren't
They're
there.
just a little different.
Yes. And so when I saw, knowing what we had gone through with the struggle with my mom, which was hands down the worst experience of my entire life, um, to see you,
And
um, it was just the ultimate sign of love to see you take care of your mom the way that you did. And I
yeah,
think that to be able to channel that into what you're doing now, talk about finding your purpose. I mean, I think that you
that was
don't
such a create, and not to cut you off, and I appreciate
no,
that
please,
so
yeah,
so much.
please cut
No,
me off.
I know. That whole journey that my sister, my wife, that I took, that it was wild. And I never anticipated any of that because originally, like, she was going to go live with my sister, and I was only doing this for a short period of time. And
Right.
then, my sister was having her family, and it was just like, okay, this just isn't going to work. Um, and so I went through a lot of, I went through a lot of emotions,
Yeah.
from denial to frustration and anger and resentment, and I finally came upon gratitude, and that changed my life.
Yeah.
Just having the ability to be grateful to give this experience to my mom, it really became poetic for me because
Yeah.
I went full circle with her and on our journey, and um, yeah, it just allowed me to look at things completely different. And I don't want other people to have to go through a journey like that to find purpose, to
What it
find
right.
passion,
Yeah.
to know, or to just go through 40 years just kind of floating along and not really finding any of that.
Yeah.
Like it's out there, and it's like just go get it because
Yeah.
life is too short.
Yeah, and we get boggled down in the nonsensical, doesn't matter shit. Like,
Yeah.